Outrageous predictions for the national championship game, Ohio State versus Alabama on Monday night. You're watching us on cleveland.com and our cleveland.com Ohio State football YouTube channel. Doug Lesmerises, Nathan Baird, and Stephen Means. Nathan, you feeling outrageous for Monday night? You're going to be in Florida. That's pretty outrageous. In a pandemic, pretty outrageous. Just got a haircut and a beard trim, pretty outrageous. So what's your outrageous prediction?
I don't think haircuts are all that outrageous, really. I want to talk about Ohio State's run defense. I mean, they've had such a great season all year. It's been something that I think, as much as we've talked about the problems that they've had at the back end, that the run defense has been pretty stout all season. It's been a consistent weapon. It's been a consistent strength. It was definitely a strength of the Clemson game. It may have been why they won the Clemson game in some ways, the way that they were able to kind of consistently go out there, disrupt those drives, especially in the first half, and give the ball back to this offense. I think that it's going to be a much tougher challenge against Alabama, though. Najee Harris is a more physical running back than Travis Etienne is, and he's still multifaceted in other ways. And this offensive line was just voted the best in the country, and it's going to be tough. So my outrageous prediction is Najee Harris runs for 200 yards for Alabama. That's not really a criticism of mine towards this Ohio State defense, but I just think as part of everything that this Alabama offense can do, something's got to give. I think if Ohio State starts playing more of that two safety look, or having to adjust to what this Alabama passing offense can do, I think it opens things up for what they can do up front with this rushing attack.
Yeah, and Najee Harris could run for 200 yards, and it doesn't automatically mean that Alabama wins.
No.
That could just be a part of a high-scoring game with the multifaceted Alabama offense, and that dude gets his yards. All right, Steven, what's your outrageous prediction?
Outrageous prediction is Ohio State's linebackers are going to combine for 3 sacks. And it's less about the actual number. Now, if that happens, that's great. But it's more about the way they might have to use them depending on what personnel is available on that defensive line. They might have to try some different things like they did early on against Clemson, especially after the Indiana game. We saw the defensive line get pressure, but it didn't necessarily result in any problems for Michael Penix Jr. He was still able to do whatever he wanted. And I think Kerry Combs learned from that. When you play a great quarterback, you've got to try some other stuff. As Nathan was alluding to, this is a great offensive line, so you can't just rely on your defensive line to get pressure. You're going to have to try some different wrinkles, send some blitzes at some times, whether it's Pete Warner that we saw against Clemson, or maybe it's Baird Browning off the edge, or even when Justin Hilliard comes into the game. And so the idea of they combine for 3 sacks is more about the way it's just more about Ohio State's going to try to get pressure using guys other than just their defensive line. In order to put a number on it, I have to say 3, because Mac Jones has only been sacked 11 times this year, which is less than 1 a game.
Do you think there's any risk in that? Or is it just like, yes, there is risk in relying on your blitz to get to the quarterback, but you got to do it anyway? Like, is there any chance this could backfire, or you just think like this is sort of the defensive strategy they've got to employ and it'll work?
I think it backfires, one, if Jalen Waddle plays, obviously, but also in the RPO system. If they're not sound in their tackling, and Alabama's running a bunch of RPOs, and it's not just a catch and a tackle, and it's Devontae Smith gets loose, and now he's taking a 7-yard gain and made it a 27-yard gain, and Mechie's loose downfield. That's when it becomes more of a risk if guys can't replace the guy that's blitzing. So yes, anytime you are aggressive, there's a chance that it might backfire.
I think it depends on how you define risk, because if you could also argue that only depending on a 4-man rush is a risk against an offense this good.
Yeah.
All right, mine's going to focus on Alabama. I can't get away from this. I can't get away from Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle, really Alabama's best receiver, and their second best receiver. This won the Heisman and every other award out there. Jalen Waddle played 4 games this year, 8 catches for 134, 5 catches for 142, 6 catches for 120, 6 catches for 161. Then he broke his ankle, and now he might play. And I don't think it's a smokescreen, and maybe I'm wrong. But I was reading some things, and I just noted, and this is the one Super Bowl that I have ever covered in my life. I've covered one Super Bowl. It was in Jacksonville. It's like the Super Bowl is always like in San Diego. It's in Miami. It's in Jacksonville. It's when I worked on the East Coast, and I covered the Eagles versus the Patriots, and it was the Super Bowl. We had assignments ahead of time of what you were going to write, because it's on such a crazy deadline. This is back when newspapers existed. So I was assigned to write Terrell Owens. Regardless of whatever happened with him, I was writing Terrell Owens. And Terrell Owens in that game came back and played on a broken leg in the Super Bowl. and he was awesome. And I ended up writing something about like Terrell Owens can do like whatever he wants for the rest of his Philadelphia career because he had 100 receiving yards in the Super Bowl on a broken leg. So I know Greg McElroy, the former Alabama quarterback who's an ESPN analyst, referenced that in the Jalen Waddle discussion. And it's like superhuman and it's amazing. You think about the pain tolerance these guys deal with on a regular basis and the way they rehab and recover and all the stories. Tough Borland comes back from an Achilles and Master Teague comes back and Trey Sermon was rehabbing this year and came back and look how good he's been. But I just think Jalen Waddle is going to play, and I think it is an absolute game changer. So my outrageous prediction is that Jalen Waddle has another 100-yard receiving game because he's 4 for 4 so far this year. And I think he comes back into an offense. When he left the offense, he was the best receiver on the offense. Now he comes back into an offense where the other guy won the Heisman. So he's not the first priority. He's not the first option. He's not the number one thing that Ohio State's got to worry about. And so I do not know what Ohio State's going to do if he actually plays. Doesn't mean they can't win. It's just if he plays, I don't know how they stop that passing game. And I think he's going to play. And maybe I'm completely bamboozled and Saban got me. But what a story it would be. You've got to appreciate how hard these guys work and how they put it on the line. If that happens, it's a great story. And Ohio State will have to find a way. All right. Those are our outrageous predictions. And I will say this is weird. There was a restaurant, and my wife and I still talk about it. We can't believe it was the real name. There was a restaurant across the street from our hotel, our Courtyard Marriott in Jacksonville, that the name of the restaurant was Chinese Takey Outie. And we ate Chinese food there like 3 times that week. And it was very good. And that was the name on the sign. So that's what I think about when I think about the Super Bowl. All right. Thanks to you guys for watching on our YouTube channel and watching on cleveland.com. For Steven and Nathan, I'm Doug.